polynomial with 3 terms is called a trinomial. To factor a trinomial, we want to write it as a multiplication problem. As a multiplication problem of a binomial times a binomial. So we'll start out with factors of the first term. The only thing we can multiply to get x squared is just x times x. Then we want factors of the last term. So 1 goes evenly into 8 times. 2 goes evenly into 8 4 times. 3 doesn't go evenly into 8. 4 goes evenly into 8 twice. Now, when the factors start to repeat, we have them all. So we'll look at this last sign. If the last sign is positive, we want the sum of the factors to equal the coefficient of the middle term. All right, so here's the coefficient of the middle term. It's a 6. So we want the sum of these factors to equal to 6, so that 2 and 4 will do it. Now we have to decide what sign goes between these terms, the terms in each of those binomials. Well, if the last sign is positive, the signs will be the same as the sign of the middle term. So the sign of the middle term in this case is positive, so both signs will be positive. All right, so to factor the trinomial x squared minus 5x plus 6, I'm going to break it down into the product of 2 binomials. So factors of the x squared, I know it's just x times x. Now I need factors of the last term, factors of 6. Well, 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6. Well, the factors are repeating. I have them all. Now, this last sign is positive. So I want the sum of the factors to equal the coefficient of the middle. So the middle, in this case, is 5x. I want that to equal to the coefficient of that, so 5. So I have 2 and 3. Well, now to adjust the signs, since that last sign is positive, both signs be the same as the sign of the middle term. Well, the middle term has a negative sign, so they'll both be negative. All right, so to factor the trinomial x squared plus 4x minus 32, we want to break it into a binomial times a binomial. So factors of the first term of x squared, it's just x times x. Now we need factors of the last term. So 1 goes into 32 times. 2 goes into 32 16 times. 3 doesn't go into 32 evenly, but 4 does. Goes into 32 8 times. 5 doesn't go, 6 doesn't go, 7 doesn't go, 8 goes 4 times. Well, they repeat. Factors are starting to repeat. So I've got them all. Now I'll look at this last sign. If the last sign is negative, want the difference of the factors to equal the coefficient of the middle term. All right, so the difference, if we were to subtract these factors, I see that 4 and 8 will do it. Now we have to find out what sign to put between those terms. Well, if the last sign is negative, the signs are going to be different. The larger factor will get the sign of the middle term. So the larger factor is 8. The middle term is positive, so the 8 gets a positive. The signs will be different. The 4 will get the negative. To factor the trinomial x squared minus 2x minus 48, I'll start by setting up the framework for a binomial times a binomial. So to factor x squared, that's x times x. Now, factors of 48. I have 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12. Well, 5 doesn't go evenly into 48. 6 times 8. 7 doesn't go into 48, but 8 goes 6 times. So now the factors are repeating. So I've got them all. Now look at the last sign. Since the last sign is negative, we want the difference of the factors to equal to the coefficient of the middle term. Okay, so this is that's the middle term right here. That's the 2 is the coefficient of that middle term. So I want the difference of these factors to equal to 2. 6 and 8 will do it. But now we have to adjust the signs. Well, since the last sign is negative, we know that the signs will be different. And the larger factor gets the sign of the middle term. So the larger factor is 8. The middle term has a negative sign, and the signs will be different.